Men of Reddit who proposed and she said no. What happened afterwards with your life? We lived together for another 6 years until she changed her mind and told me that I should ask again. We were engaged for over a year and got married in 1991. We are still married, have 3 children, and are both still very much in love. Why the initial no? Didn't have enough XP. His persuasion wasn't high enough yet. Plus he didn't complete the prerequisite quests. She had cancer. I said we should get married because I had full medical coverage from my work. She said no, and over time we grew apart. Haven't talked to her in 15 years. Don't know if she died. I know a couple who did just that. He proposed in order to give her citizenship and health insurance so she could remain here and get cancer treatment she desperately needed. They stayed married for about 15 years and he even adopted her son. But they never lived together or were romantically involved. Years later, they divorced when he met the woman of his dreams and wanted to get married. They are all very close friends, with no drama. She lived and is a university professor now. He is in another state with the woman of his dreams. That's actually beautiful. That's sad as hell, man. Sorry about that. Dated a woman for over 2 years and popped the question. First time she said I don't know. A couple months later I asked her again. She said maybe. I was pretty bent out of shape. But then I found out she was sleeping with several of my friends, so I dodged a bullet there really. Damn dude, I'm sorry about your friends. Genuine nitbags of people to knowingly sleep with your girl. I hope you find better friends. That would literally break me. Like cheating is itty as frick, but a coworker or someone you don't trust? It's 1000% better than going to vent to your friend about your girl cheating and he's like, yeah, I'm that other guy. I asked her right out of high school, but she wasn't ready. We stayed together, went to college at the same school, spent the first year in a separate dorms, then moved in together. Got married a few years later. Our 20th is coming up. My mother turned my father down, but didn't outright break up with him. She just wasn't sure about the marriage idea. She valued her independence and was nervous about commitment. No hard feelings, though. He called up the next day when she'd had more time to think about it, and she said yes after all. They celebrated 32 years of marriage last month. Just the fact that they could say those things to each other and still be respectful and friendly, loving, that's the key there. My parents are almost sickeningly respectful and loving. When she gave birth, one of the nurses remarked she'd never seen a laboring mother ask her husband how he was feeling until then. You're the first patient I've had who didn't cuss him out. Your mother. Hey, how are you feeling? Do you need some ice chips or something? I totally understand if you're feeling stressed out. I mean, this is some crazy stuff. Just let me know. Your father. There is a human head shoving itself out of your body right now, but yeah, I'm fine. Should we get pizza after this? She said yes on the second proposal and now we're divorced. After reading all these stories, I laughed when I read this. Not at your misfortune, but at how succinct it was. My therapist had a similar reaction on our first meeting. He laughed at the end and said most people don't describe their childhood as catastrophic and live up to it. I had an interview with an hour guy. He asked why I left my last job. I went into detail about getting fired because a manager under me had sexually assaulted a couple of employees. I didn't find out until after that manager was fired for something else. I reported it and thus became a liability as the person who was in charge while it happened. I was let go. The HR guy was stunned and told me he was speechless. Perhaps not a conventional answer, but I got hired. They value honesty and I have that in spades. Man, this comments section is like the Autobahn with speed bumps. Hope you're doing alright these days. This sentence is worthy of Hemingway himself. She had said she wasn't really a fan of marriage, so I thought proposing non-marriage might be well received, and I wanted us to be together for the rest of our lives. So I asked her not to marry me. She said no. We have been married for 10 years. Pulled the Olay reverse card on her. I'm gonna say N. I activate my trap card, but no reverso. She said yes as I had a special occasion planned, one of those observation wheels, and I proposed at the very top, and we were an hour away to a family event and I had a ring made and everything. Then a few days later she said no. Everything fell apart. I was distraught. We continued dating for a while, but it was long distance, other side of the world. When I visited it would be super awkward. Eventually dad kicked me out. Was flying standby and was stuck in an airport for 4 days. Took me years to recover. Now I am happily married and am glad it never worked out. I was not in a good place when I met her and her family was super controlling. It would never have worked. The woman I married is super cool and is my best friend. Turned out better than expected. Damn, that's messed up. With them living on the other side of the world, you could say the relationship was upside down. This is why I've never understood the whole big showy surprise proposal thing. Unless you've already had the conversation and you're both on board and it's just making it official, a big public proposal can put way too much pressure on the recipient. It was really bad for a while. Then it was really bad. Then it became really bad. Then it became bad. Then it was just blah. Then it was neutral. Then things started to get better. They continued to get better by me learning to be happy and me doing me things. I eventually found someone else, and things have been getting better for 20 years now. Love, life and time. Great synopsis. Time heals all wounds, which is why you should never break up with Kronos. Very first girlfriend ever. Started dating at 17. After 6 years of dating I proposed. She said no, I'm sorry. I asked why. She said, I've been thinking about this for a while, but didn't talk to you about it. I found someone else. Then she broke up with me right then and there. I asked if she cheated and she said no. We're just friends right now. But he makes me happy when I'm with him and you just don't. You used to. But not anymore. I tried sabotaging their relationship when I found him begging her for nudes. Tattled at her ultra-Christian parents that he was twice her age, which he is, and did everything I could to be the insane one. Finally realized what I was doing, apologized, promised to never talk to her or her family ever again. I sold the ring and used the money to buy a guitar and a boatload of weed and spiraled out of control for 3 years. Flunked all my classes, got a dead-end job at a construction gig, slowly descended into borderline alcoholism. Couldn't leave the house or go to work or do my job without being high. Gained a ton of weight, let myself go. Finally contemplated suicide. Planned it out with a 20-page instruction manual on how to make it painless, not screw it up, and not hurt anyone in the process. Never went through with it, because I kept getting scared and spending my suicide fund on weed and alcohol. Finally broke down and told my parents all of this. Asked for help. Spent another year in a rehab program with a therapist. Got out and have been clean for 3 years by this September and still wake up at 3 AM feeling sick every couple of months for the way I treated her after having spent 6 years telling her that I loved her. But that's all over now, and all I can do is learn from it, promise to be better, and keep going. So now I'm turning 29 in a week, still living at home with parents, and constantly battling self-loathing and anxiety while working a job for $9.25 an hour. But I pay my parents $300 a month to stay with them and I'm going back to school. Taking the minimum number of credit hours per semester since I'm paying for it out of pocket and I work full time, and overtime when I can get it, but slowly dragged my GPA from a 1.28 to a 2.64 and can start getting help next semester, instead of paying for all of it out of pocket now. I also lost a ton of weight during the pandemic and weigh just 189. Now, in rehab I dropped to 220, but I was closer to 245-250 before that. Safe to say I won't be worth dating for a long time, but maybe when I get my degree under my belt and finish growing and learning I can get a self-sustaining job I can move out and truly start over. You've already come a long way and you should be very proud of what you have accomplished so far. That's a lot to go through, and I'm glad that you are seeing the light at the end of tunnel. We were living together. I asked, she said no, I love you, but I need to think about it. I don't think I'm ready yet. Can you give me some time and ask later? A few months go by, I ask again, same response. A few more months, same deal. A couple more weeks and then she says, hey, what do you think of us getting married? I replied, that's an excellent idea. Why didn't I think of that? Our 39th anniversary is next month. I was expecting the story to get worse and worse, but it ended up better. Congrats. Not all no's are hell no, some are no, but the key is understanding the difference. Hey, don't take that wrong. No means no in all things. However, if it is a no but you are permitted to ask again, politely, after sufficient time has passed, and you are permitted to ask why you got a no. What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together? I'd say like 1 out of a million. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah. Ha. Congrats. My parents did the opposite of that. Background. My mum joined the army after graduation from high school, 1983, got sent to basic and eventually ended up at Fort Stewart. As my mum describes, the barracks sucked, and she didn't want to live there. The only way to live off base was to 1. Get approval from the CO, which was very uncommon, or 2. Be married. So my mom's then boyfriend, Ted, liked the idea. They took a quick trip to SC to get married, because there was a 2-week wait in Georgia, because you needed to have a blood test done, found a house and settled in. A year into married life, and Ted is getting ready to leave, and both had decided months before that the relationship wasn't good anymore, so my mum bought a bottle of cheap champagne and divorce papers to the house on their 1-year anniversary, 1986. My father joined the army intelligence, married a woman, Stacy, that he thought he loved that his family approved of, Jewish, got sent to New Mexico, found out he didn't like that so much, and hopped into the army medic system. He got transferred to South Korea for a year, 1983, and it took him 4 months to save up to bring Stacy over to live while he was in South Korea. But surprise, Stacy had been unfaithful since the beginning. Dad drops Stacy quickly and gets transferred to Fort Stewart in 1985. Now, in 1986, my mum is newly divorced and has just gotten orders to report back to the barracks within the week. Since Ted, now ex-husband, had already left, my mum decides to go out with a bang. Hosts a house selling party and invites her friends and friends of friends. My dad was a friend of a friend and shows up to have fun. Everyone's getting drunk. And, as my mum describes the event, as my mum is coming back from the bathroom, my father attempts to have a conversation that went roughly like, "This is a great house. It's a shame you have to sell. Got any offers? No, hey, wanna marry me and we can keep living here?" My mum thought he was joking, because he was stupid drunk. But the next morning he was still adamant. And my mum agreed to the idea with the stipulation that either one of them could walk at any time. Mum says she fell in love with the idiot about 3 months after they got married. They're having their 35th wedding anniversary this year. I've told this story before and wanted to share again,